Got to Know Recipes, where we elevate everyday meals using tried and true techniques. I'm Mark Matsumoto, and today I'm going to show you how to make dashi. It's the lifeblood of Japanese cuisine, and it's used in everything from miso soup to Japanese salads. It's so important, in fact, that the quality of a restaurant's dashi is one of the key factors that separates average Japanese restaurants from the ones getting Michelin stars. The da in dashi is from the verb dasu, which means to take out, and the shi is from shiru, which means liquid. So all it means is that you've taken out some flavor from an ingredient using a liquid. If it's not qualified by a prefix such as shiitake dashi or vegetable dashi, dashi used by itself usually refers to a traditional Japanese dashi that's made using konbu or kelp and some type of dried fish. The most common kind of fish that's added is called katsuobushi, and it's actually not a type of fish. It's made using skipjack tuna that's been cooked, smoked, dried, and fermented. It's quite a process, and it takes well over a month. But this process increases the concentration of inosine monophosphate, or IMP for short. It's this IMP that synergizes with the naturally occurring glutamates in konbu to create that wonderful taste of umami that you get in a really good dashi. These days, a lot of people are using dashi granules, and it's kind of the same as using chicken bouillon. I'm not a big fan, and there are much better ways to make dashi if you're in a rush. One example is to use dashi packs, which are kind of like tea bags. They're a paper sack that's filled with powderized konbu and some dried seafood, and you just drop it into a pot of hot water and let it steep for a few minutes, like tea. This particular one is made by a brand called Kayanoya, and I really like this one when I'm in a rush. That being said, there's no substitute for making your own dashi from scratch. So here's how I do mine. The first ingredient we're going to be using is konbu or kelp. Because we're using katsuobushi to make this dashi, I'm using makonbu from southern Hokkaido. This will create a light colored dashi that's fairly neutral in flavor. If you're planning on making a plant-based dashi without any fish, I recommend using konbu from the Laos region of Hokkaido, which has a more robust and almost meaty flavor. The second ingredient we're going to be using is katsuobushi. After being cooked, smoked, fermented, and dried, katsuobushi is shaved into paper-thin flakes, which can then be used to make dashi. The type prepared for making dashi tends to be shaved into bigger flakes, but you can also use the ones shaved into smaller flakes meant for sprinkling on food. Dashi is made in two phases, and in the first phase, we're going to start by adding konbu to cold water and letting this soak for at least 3 hours. I usually do this in a water bottle and store it in the fridge until I'm ready to use it. You'll know the konbu dashi is ready when the konbu has fully rehydrated and the liquid has taken on a slightly yellow tint. Konbu dashi is plant-based, so you can use it as is to make a vegan miso soup, or you can fortify it by rehydrating dried shiitake or maitake mushrooms in it. Now we're gonna add this to a pot and bring it to a boil. As it comes to a boil, you may notice some scum floating to the surface. Be sure to skim this off and discard it. Once it comes to a full boil, turn off the heat and add the katsuobushi. Give it a quick stir to make sure it's all submerged, but don't agitate it too much or your stock is going to end up cloudy. Now you just want to let this steep for 3 to 4 minutes. The time depends on factors such as how thick your katsuobushi is shaved and how concentrated you want your dashi to be. When you're satisfied with the flavor of your dashi, strain it through a fine mesh sieve. Dashi made from scratch is so good, you can enjoy it as a broth, seasoned with just salt and a splash of soy sauce. Add some veggies and season it with miso for miso soup, or you can bottle it up and keep it in the fridge for a few days to use in other Japanese dishes. I'll include a list of ideas in the description below. Speaking of miso soup, I've got my ultimate guide to miso soup coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Dashi is such a versatile ingredient, and it's not that hard to make if you plan a little in advance. Unlike upgrading your sake or your soy sauce or your sugar, a small change in the way you make dashi can have a huge impact on the taste of your finished dish, so I hope you'll give it a try. By the way, I'm curious, what's your favorite recipe that uses dashi? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to give us a big like, and if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss my next delicious episode. Thanks so much for joining us here today, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Check us out on Instagram at No Recipes.